Good evening, race fans, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there watching here on the Sim Racing Media YouTube channel. We're here for Sunday night action with the Icon Cup Series at the Kansas 240, race number 12 on the schedule. We've got stages at lap 50 and 100, 5 additional sets of tires, and as usual, 60% fuel, which should set us up for about a 35 to 40 lap fuel run. I'm Shane Cochran here in the booth along with Alan Bergen. Alan, how are you doing?
Tired, but I'm excited to be here in Kansas. Look, man, four and a half hours away from the St. Louis area, and these guys are going to be ripping around this mile and a half. It's going to be, they got the fans cranked up to 96 degrees on the track. But it's what I like to call Chamber of Commerce day here, with that 70% or 70 degree relative humidity, 70 degree Fahrenheit ambient temperature, of 72% relative humidity under a partly cloudy sky and a wind from west to east wind at 14 miles an hour. These guys are going to be in for a fun show here today.
Absolutely. There's a lot of tracks on the schedule like Talladega or road courses where you kind of feel like, hey, this isn't the core, NASCAR oval style racing. And when you think about that, that's Kansas. It's here. You've got to use dirty air to block the guys behind you. You've got to use 3-4 lanes on the track to get passes done and keep that momentum up. This is going to be a really fun one. Of course, last week we were at the Texas 240, had door-to-door racing all night long as guys tried to save those fresh tires and get the most out of them as well. Travis Gilbert led 46 laps early on, staying in the front all night. Ryan Patty, Brian Smith, and Nathan Finnegan were also up there battling until lap 115. We had a 14-car wreck, the big one at Texas, and most of those drivers were not able to recover. The final green flag pit cycle set up a four-way battle between Travis Gilbert, Kyle Diaz, Brian Smith, and Bentley Glazer. And as those drivers battled for the sixth position behind 5 cars who stayed out long on fuel, trying to stretch it to the end, but it didn't seem like anybody would be able to get it done, Chuck Van Schaik made it happen, holding in the clutch on turn entry, fueled by the frustration of some contact and 2 minutes of repairs he had to deal with earlier in the race. He ran 44 laps on the final fuel run to snag the victory over Gilbert by just 2.4 seconds and even had enough gas for a victory lap and a burnout. We'll see if he can keep that momentum going here at Kansas as our drivers have completed qualifying and are now wrapping up a little bit of warm-up on the track. And as soon as they do, we will take a look at our starting grid.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun day here in Kansas. I've been in the official forums all week long. And, this track to me was high side dominant.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture. I had my league race here earlier in the week. The high side sure feels fast, but if you want to get a pass completed, you're going to have to know how to use the low lane and the middle lane to get there. A little bit of slide job even, especially if the guy on the outside is not willing to give it up. As we take a look at our starting grid, Brian Smith is on pole with a 30.987. Beside him on the front row will be Cody Neal. Then Ryan Patty and Braxton DeWeese make up row 2. Jacob Smith and Jonathan Duncan in row 3. Patrick Colby and Nathan Finnegan in row 4. Kyle Purcell and John McNeil in row 5, rounding out your top 10. Bentley Glazer and Adam Ball, 11th and 12th. With Kendall Leveron, 13th. Charles Van Schaik, last week's winner, in 14th. Zach Lockett and Kevin Gunther in row 8. Nathan Brzezowski and Charlie Widener, 17th and 18th. Evan Patinko, Jacob Gladulich, rounding out your top 20. We've got Charles Woods in 21st. Ethan Van Collie, 22nd. Jeff Dillon and Cody Eldred in row 12. With Michael Taylor and Anthony Teseo in the 13th row. Brad Delph and John Ross in row 14. Hanover Fist, Jake Champion in 29th and 30th. Sean Purcell in 31st. Kyle Gilbert, 32nd. Mike Grinnell in 33rd. Chris Camber in 34th. Michael Jennings 35th. And that's going to be our field tonight. So you mentioned you'd watched a couple officials, Alan. What, other than the top side being dominant, what else did you see out there?
A lot of passing. These cars will be all over the place, and I expect no less than some great racing action here tonight. 160 laps is the total laps that we're going to run here tonight. But it seems like week in, week out, it's the same players up here in the front.
Absolutely is. We see Brian Smith on the pole. He is your points leader with 3 wins on the season, 5 stage wins, 9 top 10s. In those first 11 races, he sure got the momentum going.
Absolutely. But the driver I'm going to be watching, one win on the year, Braxton DeWeese, and that number 8 car.
As the pace car comes down pit road, the green flag is in the air, and we are racing in Kansas in the Icon Cup Series. Three wide already into turn 1 as Patty goes down low. Neal up high. Smith in the middle. And that Jane's on main 8 car is in there too.
Now, if you're Braxton DeWeese, who do you go with?
I mean, it's dirty air everywhere he looks. He's going to have to find a little bit of clean air as Neal taps the wall. I mean, we're 3 wide all the way back to 15th here. Drivers wasted no time.
Yeah, absolutely not. And we're not so much loving, touching, squeezing tonight, but wow.
Smith dropping back a couple positions after getting stuck in the middle. Brian Smith, that is Jacob Smith. And that 4 car is up, fighting for P2.
There.
Finnegan makes a little bit of contact as he dives down to the apron.
And he does that all while setting fast time right now.
Ryan Patty is your leader, but the battle is for second.
Yeah, Jacob Smith running the outside. You could almost corner these things out. Granted, I did run the truck races here. Whoa.
Ooh.
Hang on there.
We've got a car in the grass. That's Jonathan Duncan in the 13. Looks like he's going to be okay. He's going to rejoin back behind the field. No harm, no foul.
He's got a lot of catching up to do. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Oh my gosh, you just got cars running everywhere on the short track. Every inch of asphalt is being used right now.
As we look, it almost looks about 50-50 between which cars are trying to use the high line, which cars are trying to go down low. We mentioned earlier, the high line, I think, is faster, especially on a short run where you're not worried about tires, but hugging that inside line can really save the right front tire.
Yeah, this is the first mile and a half, the cookie cutter, as they were, if you were, style racetrack that we've been to here in the series. And definitely the first time that we ventured into the Midwest.
Yeah, Kansas, one of those tracks, really allows 3 and 4 wide racing in the turns, but when you get to the exit, the track squeezes up on you and gets everybody up near the wall, so you better make sure you're clear if you're trying to get up there.
There's still 3 wide here. The 33 car of Champion.
John Ross in the 44 pulls ahead just a little bit. He's going to clear those two, the 33 and 32. This is a battle for 23rd. Hard racing all the way through the field. Meanwhile, up in the top 5, Braxton DeWeese going to work on Jacob Smith as Cody Neal a little off the pace there. Dropping a couple positions.
Yeah, you don't want to be falling back too quickly, especially in this league. I mean, this league's hard enough as it is. But once you start losing wholesale positions, then you're just in a world of trouble.
Ooh, one car in the wall back there. This is the 01 of Kyle Purcell. As I mentioned, you got to get clean air when you come off the exit of the turn, because you might drive a corner the same way for 10 laps, but the next time that guy crosses the air in front of you, kind of just like Bentley Glazer's doing here to Purcell, the car just gets tight and runs away from you.
One driver not in the field is the 22 car of Travis Gilbert. He's not in the field tonight.
We are now on lap 12, and the 3 wide racing hasn't stopped since the green flag went in the air. Cody Neal continuing to lose positions. We saw him a little off the pace about 2 laps ago. Wonder if he burned up his tires. Don't really see any damage on that car. Ooh, he might have gotten a little shove from... Who is that? The 48?
That's John McNeil in the 48 car. That beautiful white number 48, throwing it back to Jimmy Johnson. And right to the side is the Rocket, Zach Lockett. You know, I'm almost wondering if Cody Neal is looking at this like a strategy move to avoid all the carnage and calamity that might come later on.
Could be. He could be playing 3D chess. But it doesn't look very comfortable, as the cars are not giving him a lot of patience as they come up and catch him. Meanwhile, the 95, Charlie Widener, trying to go around the outside of Chuck Van Schaik. Brian Smith has found and caught Ryan Patty. He's going to take it away, or at least try to here. Can he clear Patty? He does. Patty going to cross him over. I mentioned when that driver slides up in front of you and takes the air off your nose, that is the counter move. You can cut back down underneath and get the clean air to the left of him. And really drive it off the corner with some speed. Smith going to fall back in line behind that 30 car. So these two just trying to figure out what is the fastest way around Kansas.
I still think it's the High Line.
My crew chief calculator is estimating the pit cycle, fuel cycle will be somewhere between 35 and 40 laps, so we're about halfway through that. The tires are starting to fall off. Just about 0.8 of a second off of what we were running at the start of the race.
And here's the thing: Brian Smith is not letting Ryan Batty get too far ahead of him.
Not at all. And these two now over a second ahead of third place. Look back, we've got just more three-wide racing. 52 of Jeff Dillon. And he is gonna, if he didn't touch the wall, he could feel it. Drivers getting every inch of this track they can under those tires to get all the speed they can.
Yeah, most definitely, Shane. You're absolutely correct. I think these tires here, we are 20 laps in. 20 laps in. I think these tires are starting to go away.
Ooh, almost four wide. I don't think that was going to fit in there.
I mean, they're doing a three wide. I don't see why not. I mean, the track's wide enough. There's a lot of pavement.
Yeah, Sean Purcell in the 74 trying to find his way around these three. Looks like he's going to choose to push Jacob Gladulich on the bottom. Ooh.
Oh.
Kyle Gilbert slides up almost into Gunther. They get it sorted out for the most part. Meanwhile, back in the front, Brian Smith did break away from Ryan Patty and has just a little bit of breathing room now with 0.3 of a second lead. As Smith is using the high line and Patty using the bottom. With Jacob Smith lurking behind him too.
A tale of two different lines, my friend.
Back in the Hornet's nest. Kyle Purcell battling with Van Schaik, Patrick Colby, and Zach Lockett.
You never been in a Hornet's nest?
I've been around one and stung by some. Never been in the nest, I guess. Oh, we got Patrick Colby sideways into the wall. He's keeping it straight. He's definitely slow with some damage on the front end.
Yeah, that car's definitely hurt.
Let's see if he can get to pit road safely. No caution.
He's staying out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he thinks he can limp to the next caution, although he does look a little squirrely there on the front stretch in front of Michael Jennings. Jennings able to make his way around. Now Hanover Fist going by. We'll have to keep an eye on that. The battle for the lead is tight again as Patty taps the wall. Back in the battle for 8th, Adam Ball working on Cody Neal, Bentley Glazer, and Zach Lockett's just behind him. Great racing all around the track. More three-wide action back around 13th position.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's good to see John Ross back out there on the racetrack after missing a couple weeks due to a hardware malfunction. You know, it's amazing that we are able to do things that we do with PCs and accessories and everything. But boy, when you have something that breaks on you and it breaks big, it'll put you out of commission for a minute.
Yeah, that adrenaline racing scheme looking really sharp tonight. It looks like we have our first taker on pit road, Adam Ball. And Ryan Patty going to follow him. Patty was running second at the time. As we have our first caution of the night. Looks like Kyle Purcell is involved. Let's take a quick look at that. Purcell working his way around the damaged Patrick Colby.
Oh, they're going to touch.
They just come together.
And both of their nights just went from bad to worse.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they were squeezing each other so tight. It seemed like there might have been plenty of room. Yeah, just a misunderstanding on what line we're going to take when we come back to the front stretch. You know that there's about 6 or 7 lanes, but the fastest, if you're on the inside, is usually to come down on that apron and hug the grass. A lot of times the driver on the outside will assume you're going to do that, and when you don't, there's a little bit of contact. And like we said, that's going to be our first caution of the night.
I mean, let's assume it's through like, what, 29 laps?
Yeah, not a bad run there. Looks like, let's see, Michael Jennings picked up a black flag on lap 26.
Oh no.
Take a quick look at that if we can. An unsafe pit entry as he hit the cone and went in the grass. Again, I think that was under green and then under caution. Or maybe as he came back out, he might have gotten an unsafe rejoin. Not sure about that one. But it's got him back in the 34th position, I believe. 33rd, 1 lap down. I think that's going to have him in the lucky dog for our next caution whenever that comes out. As a reminder, we do have the stage ending at lap 50. Everyone should be able to make it from here on fuel to finish out stage 1 if we stay green. And we have a couple wave around cars out in front of the 78, who is the leader. Otherwise, just about everyone all the way back to 25th had not pitted before the caution and pitted during the caution. Most drivers in that group taking 4 tires, but your top 4, Smith, DeWeese, Neal, and Shake, as well as Patinko and Brzezowski on 2 tires.
It's gonna be crazy to see what Braxton DeWeese does here on this restart. Brian Smith is a control car, along with Cody. Well, I wasn't Jacob Smith in that. Well, that's Cody Neal in the 38 car. And last week's winner, Van Schaik. He was outside in that second row. And I don't know that the outside row is going to be better for launching.
And here they go back to green through the Geico restart zone. Brian Smith gets them going. Braxton DeWeese trying to keep pace on the inside. Smith with a great jump. already thinking about going 3 wide. Jacob Smith in the 4 is the first car on 4 tires. So we should expect to see him knife his way through this front pack and try to catch Brian Smith.
Yeah, but you got to be careful though, because you don't want to burn up all your stuff doing that.
The other driver that was up at the front, Ryan Patty, he kind of caught that caution at a weird time, and I believe he took 2 tires on his green flag stop before the caution, and then came back down pit road under caution to put 4 on it instead. So that's got him back to 15th. He's already up a handful of positions since the restart. As up front, Nathan Finnegan and Jacob Smith get around Brian, but Finnegan looking low.
They're gonna drag race and do it John Forrest style down that back straightaway.
Ooh, not giving any room to each other either. Jacob Smith did lead that last lap, or his first lap led of the race, and he's gonna try to get a few more. Further back in the field, Zach Lockett and Michael Taylor battling for 10th. As Brad Delph goes low and makes them 3 wide. And Charles Wood's going to follow him. Still 3 wide. Braxton DeWeese all the way back to 10th place now. And under attack. It looks like the 2-tire drivers are not faring well on this restart. As now Brian Smith is back to 7th position, and he is the furthest up of anyone in 2 tires. The next driver is Braxton, back in 13th.
At 35 laps in, here comes Zach Lockett, the Rocket Zach Lockett. He is battling Charles Woods right now and Brian Smith for that. Well, that's going to be for the 9th spot.
And if you're wondering which strategy is paying off, it's 4 tires. Brian Smith started up front. He's dropped to 10th. Ryan Patty restarted in 19th, and he is up to 5th place already.
And we got just a handful of laps to go till we get to the end of stage 1.
That's right, as Finnegan applies the pressure to the back of that number 4 car. All the way down to the grass. Looks like a few drivers have already been down there and trimmed the grass around the asphalt just a little bit. Finnegan,
I like what you did there.
He's going to try. Not able to complete the slide job on exit. Now trying to get the side draft to work for him. Doing everything he can here. They're still side by side. Nobody's getting away. Meanwhile, just behind them, Bentley Glazer is licking his chops, hoping these guys slow down as they get side by side so he can get up in there and battle with these leaders. Smith leads his, that's a 9th lap in a row he's led. But Finnegan is trying so hard to get there, and he's going to clear him and slide up. Smith coming back on the inside. Patty now up to 4th. Creeping into the picture here. Finnegan gonna lead that one. So we have 8 laps to go here in stage 1 at Kansas.
I know this could be the start of something really special here tonight. Nathan Finnegan has won almost every week except for Daytona, and last week at Dega last week.
I think it was Dega, then Texas. Texas last week.
They all run together.
But yeah, he won 3 in a row. Martinsville, Darlington, and Bristol just a few races ago. As Patty is catching. Glazer looking to take 3rd. See these 4 drivers now with just over a second lead back to 5th place, Charlie Widener. The field's starting to get spaced out a little more than we've seen earlier in the race, except for these top 4. Again, that 2-tire strategy not paying off. Brian Smith has slipped all the way to 16th, along with Cody Neal. Patty was able to catch this group, but now that he's here, he might have used up his stuff. Catching these leaders, as I mentioned, he restarted 19th on that restart.
I mean, keep in mind there's only less than half a dozen laps on the stage.
Kind of have the feeling that Jacob Smith is just biding his time, waiting for the right moment to make a move. Staying right on the bumper of the 6. He's going to dive to the middle lane now. But the outside line is hard to beat on turn exit, as Glazer has now caught the 4-car. Patty still trying to make the low line work for him. We've seen it work for him earlier in the race. As we have 3 laps to go here in stage 1. Finnegan starting to build a buffer. As Glazer goes down low, I think Patty's going to look to his outside. Oh, the 4 and the 30 both in the wall hard.
No caution, though.
Yeah, for the 30, that even looked hard enough to maybe have caused some damage.
Well, we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on that all the rest of this races. Right now, it looks like he's holding there in that 4th position. I'm kind of curious what kind of damage he's got.
As we hit the final lap of stage 1, Nathan Finnegan in the lead by almost half a second over Jacob Smith and Bentley Glazer.
I don't think they have enough for Nathan Finnegan, though.
Not for stage 1 anyway. But they're going to be side by side coming back to the start-finish line. And I think Glazer snagged P2. No, make that Smith. The timing jumping back and forth between them. But your stage 1 winner is Nathan Finnegan in the 6 car. And as these drivers decide whether or not they want some fresh rubber and to fill up those tanks, we're going to step away for a quick commercial, and we will be right back with the Icon Cup Series on SRM. Welcome back to the Icon Cup Series here on SRM. As we had a lot of yellow flag pit stops and a fierce battle off of pit road. Jacob Smith in the 4 won that battle. He's going to bring us back to green. One driver that has kind of fallen off the map here is Braxton DeWeese in the 8 car. Once we get going here, we'll take a look back and see if he had an off-track incident. But meanwhile, the pace car back on pit road, the green flag back in the air. Jacob Smith going to lead them back to the beginning of stage 2.
You know, I'm kind of curious if they're going to fan out like they did. Well, I think we're just about to have that one answered for us.
As we have a second caution. Nope. Sorry, the overlay was a little confused. We're back green for stage 2.
It doesn't work on Sundays.
Well, as long as it's just Sundays. There it is. There's the yellow flag. Maybe the overlay knew something we didn't. Jake Champion off track. John McNeil involved. Let's take a look at what happened to McNeil. Ooh. 3 wide. Let's think 4 wide.
No, they're 4 wide.
Ooh, just a little bit of contact between the 48 and the 33.
And there it goes.
Almost saved it.
I give him a 5 on the synchronized sliding, though.
Let's take another look at that one. From the blimp, maybe see. They weren't quite 4 wide, but 3 wide wasn't going to make it either.
It looked like the 33 got a little loose, and, well, John McNeil just happened to be there.
Yeah, and while we're here, let's take a look at what happened to Braxton DeWeese back on lap 41. I believe he went off track. Oh, right there. Looked like he checked up. Just a little bit, and whoever was behind him got him. He's been on pit road for some repairs. Hopefully going to be able to get back on the lead lap here at some point. As we have a number of almost half the field coming back down pit lane after just 2 laps. Or, sorry, just a handful of laps after the end of stage 1. Topping off on fuel. We've got 42 laps to go. If you wanted to shut off the ignition and coast around for about 3/4 of the turn, you could maybe make it on fuel from here. But it's not going to be very fast.
I don't think so. I think I'm just going to take the pit stop and and split the stage.
Yeah, I think that's the right call, and I know it's the right call because I tried it in my race this week, and it didn't work out. I made it to the end of the stage, but I lost more positions than I gained doing it.
That's a short-term gain, a long-term loss. Well, when we come back to green, Shane's going to be Jacob Smith's Bentley Glazer on your front row. The lights are out on that Iracing.com Chevy Silverado. It's going to be, once again, Bentley Glazer and Jacob Smith on your front row as Braxton Louise coming off pit road. The crew chief told him to hit the pace car, but that's okay. We're getting ready to come down to the 3-4 complex. Coming back to green on lap number 59. Going to be working lap 60. And I really got to know where we're at on the racetrack because we're coming down the back straightaway right now. Man, I got to tell you, you know what? I am psyched about the Indy 500 this year. It's got a different feel to it. But nonetheless, we're here in Kansas. I love it when we come to Kansas because that's the start as we get ready to rock and roll to the All-Star and the 600. Memorial Day weekend, the ultimate day for watching racing. And Memorial Day itself, you can catch myself and Shane Cochran on the Icon Cup Series. But here we are, Jacob Smith, Bentley Glazer on the front row. Iracing.com pace car pulls off. Bentley Glazer with the button, and we are back to green flag racing here at lap number 59. And Shane, I got to tell you what, man, I am so looking forward to the All-Star race that is to be determined what track that is at. That's going to be a fun night.
Yeah.
The Coke 600 is going to be a fun night for us.
Yeah, anytime you get a chance to kind of shake off the stress of points and playoffs and just focus on a one-off race like an all-star event and just have fun with it, I think that's always a great break in the middle of the season. So we're staring now. Jacob Smith in the lead. Michael Taylor in second. Bentley Glazer in third. Charlie Widener in fourth. And Cody Neal in fifth. Michael Taylor in that 08, he is up 23 positions from the start of the race. Really getting it done in that Celsius 08.
You ever had a Celsius before?
I have. I think I'd put it up there with most of them, most of the energy drinks. I still think just an OG Red Bull, probably my favorite. If I'm doing an energy drink, I don't do it very often. What's your high octane drink of choice?
Oh man, look, I don't do that no more. I have kicked anything that resembles. I don't do Red Bull. I did do Monster Energy Assaults, but for me, it's to go classic sweet tea.
Hard to go wrong with a classic. As you mentioned, we do have the Charlotte Icon World 360 coming up Memorial Day weekend. Will be on Monday night as opposed to our regular Sunday. So everybody can spend the weekend celebrating with their families.
Hopefully you'll be able to catch me up at the at Quincy Raceways up in Quincy, Illinois that weekend.
Should be a load of fun.
And a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, I'll be keeping a tradition going. My cousin-in-law's bachelor party was 5 years ago, and we've been doing it every year since. Watching the Monaco, Indy 500, and Coke 600 back-to-back here in my backyard.
That's a long day of racing.
It is.
But a fun one.
It starts on Friday night, so it is a really long day.
Also, if you're into dirt racing, Shane, that weekend, also Friday night, live on Flow Racing, you can catch the Lucas Oil Show Me 100 from Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. That's a fun one if you're into dirt late model racing. It's a who's who. The World of Outlaws are off that night, or off that weekend. And I tell you what, if you're a dirt late model fan, you've watched the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series, it was an absolute banger at #Falls Saturday night.
The leaders have kind of spread out just a little bit, but back here around 18th position is where it really gets thick, as Finnegan, DeWeese, Patty, they're all back here after pitting to top off on fuel after that quick caution, trying to make their way up to the field. Not as easy this time around, as everyone kind of on even tires. But DeWeese was able to get back on the lead lap, making some repairs. He is running 23rd.
I'm not making a 3 wide there.
All over the bumper of the 33, trying to find his way through. Gonna slide up in front of the 72 of Brad Delph. Seem to have gotten it sorted out. Meanwhile, Sean and Kyle Purcell arguing over who should be in 15th position. It's going to be Kyle for now in the 01. Patty has now come up on Adam Ball. They're on the outside lane with Finnegan down low. Ooh, this group kind of has the feeling of a ticking time bomb. Everybody in a hurry to get back up with the leaders and really nowhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because I mean, Adam Ball just kind of hung up there, and Ryan Patty's scraped the wall. If not, he came real close to it.
Take a peek back at our top three as Bentley Glazer in P4 are looking at third. Charlie Widener riding in fifth behind him with Zach Lockett in sixth. But it is Jacob Smith out there leading. Now 27 laps led on the night. That is the most of any driver so far. Ryan Patty is next in line with 20 laps led, but he is all the way back in 25th in that battle we were just showing. Michael Taylor been steady in that second position since the restart.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of number 73 right now, and you got Jacob Smith out to a pretty healthy lead, not too far out of the lead. But Cody Neal in that number 38 car, he's trying to make that inside line work. And there's another track that we no longer go to that runs a lot like this, and that's California, Fontana. You can utilize that high side and make a lot of ground up.
Absolutely, as we see Neal trying to get around Taylor. Why don't we jump on board with him and get a feel for how hard it is to find some clean air. It's just riding right in the tire tracks. In the wall just a little bit, no problem.
He's shifting.
Yeah, I heard a lot of debate in my league over whether you should shift or not. The way that this track eats up the front tires, I think using that downshift to get some rotation on turn entry right there, you can see him use it to get under Taylor. And then to keep the car rotating, it might make you a little loose as you see him kind of sawing on the wheel, but I think it pays off in the long run just to be able to use up that right rear a little more than the right front. As he's now looking under Taylor. Not quite able to get there yet. As always, just some really hard and respectful racing here up at the front as Smith loses a little bit of momentum and these two are all over him. Neal looking low. And looks like Glazer going to hit pit road. As is Kyle Gilbert. Or it looks like Gilbert's already back out. Ooh, Cody Neal slides right across the front bumper of Smith. Smith able to stay in the gas and battle back. Cross him over. As he's going to come to pit road. I think he said, hey, those guys are catching me. I'm losing speed. Let me reload.
Get those Dr. Feelgoods.
That's going to leave Cody Neal, your leader, his first lap led today. Looking good out front. Take a look a little further back in the field. Jake Champion in 16th, battling with Ryan Patty. As we see Cody Neal and Michael Taylor hit pit road. That's going to leave Brian Smith out in the lead. He's got almost a second lead here on Widener and Lockett. And he's going to hit pit road. Widener actually led that lap for his first of the race. But Zach Lockett looking low, trying to take it away.
And they don't call Zach Lockett the Rocket for no reason. There he is, Zach the Rocket. Zach Lockett up to the lead over Charlie Widener and his teammate John Ross. Right behind Charlie Widener there in third. John Ross, like I said, Zach's teammate, and just got that brand new steering wheel, repaired, and now he's able to get out here and contend for race wins.
Absolutely. As Deweese also hit pit road, he's back on track. Brzezowski now down pit lane. Looks like most of these drivers coming down pit lane are taking just 2 tires, or maybe even a splash of fuel. Not wasting any time as we have 16 laps to go in stage 2. It looks like Bentley Glazer is currently the furthest up driver who's pitted. Well, make that Cody Neal and Brian Smith as they go by. Michael Taylor with them too. Again, this is a battle for 21st, but they are the first drivers to have come down pit road on this cycle. As up front, Zach Lockett now 31 laps into his fuel run. No rush, as I said. I think the pit window's somewhere closer to 35 or 40. But every lap that he is on the track on old tires, he is currently losing, let's see, over a second to those leaders, as Cody Neal just turned the fastest lap of the day, a 31.16. They are coming, and they're going to make these guys pay for staying out long unless they can catch a caution. Because Brian Smith and Cody Neal are a lap down at the moment. So they would have to take a wave around if Lockett was able to catch that caution. As now Hanover Fist and Jake Champion have hit pit road. That's going to leave our top 18 that have not pitted. Ryan Patty battling Brad Delph for the 8th position, with Jonathan Duncan just ahead of them.
Look how close Ryan Patty's getting to the wall there.
He's been flirting with it all night long. He's going to take a look at Teseo, now up to 4th. Looks like a fresh paint scheme for him tonight. He's up 22 positions from the start of the race, and in second place, John Ross up 26 positions. As Zach Lockett has now been passed, or not passed, but unlapped Brian Smith, Cody Neal, and Michael Taylor as they've gotten by him. Bentley Glazer is in the next car and in that lucky dog position, 1 lap down. So Smith leading the charge back to the front after that pit cycle, now in 19th position. As Cody Eldred and Sean Purcell are battling for 14th position. Otherwise, we are pretty spaced out at this point. Car is all the way around the track. As this green flag pit cycle comes through, our leaders now 36 laps into their fuel run as Zach Lockett and John Ross both hit pit road. Ross a little sideways. Looks like he's going to be okay. No speeding penalty that I can see. That's going to leave Anthony Teseo as your leader.
I mean, look, we're more spread out than they, well, we're just spread out.
Teseo now 37 laps into this run. And just behind him in the 27 is Chuck Van Schaik. He's actually only 31 laps into his fuel run. He's one of those drivers, as I mentioned, if they had wanted to, they might have been able to stretch it, but I don't think it would be advantageous to do so. Unless they catch some caution laps or something here at the end of stage 2. Finnegan now catching Teseo and Schaik. These three battling for the lead. Looks like Teseo is going to go longer than anyone else so far. He's 39 laps into the run. With just 8 to go in the stage. Maybe some of these drivers are trying to make it. Because if Teseo can go 40, then Van Schaik could go another 6 laps. That makes him just probably 1.5 laps short of the stage. You still got to have enough fuel to get back to pit road so you don't get a penalty running out of fuel on the track. But I think it's possible at this point.
Yeah, that's a penalty all in itself if you run out of fuel on the racetrack.
And there he goes, 40 laps on fuel for Teseo. That is going to be the mark. See if anyone else can stretch it that far.
Maybe.
Van Schaik and Finnegan now running 1 and 2. Ryan Patty is P3, but he's about a second and a half behind these two. Brian Smith has made his way back up to 13th. Again, he is the furthest up car that has pitted. As Ethan Van Colley hits pit road.
Now, we've seen it last week at Texas. Ethan Van Schaik, he was good at saving fuel. I mean, he gave it a master class on what it takes to, to go on the Maxwell House strategy. So I wouldn't be surprised he does that again.
Absolutely. I mean, not too appreciative of some of the comments from the other drivers about whether or not he earned that one, and so he might be looking to make a stand, make a point here at Kansas. So we have about 4 laps to go, and he is on lap 37 as Finnegan gets around him, but Finnegan pitted 1 lap earlier than him. These two are, I mean, they're off the pace, but not that much. They're still running 32.5s. Just over a second off the fastest laps of the day. Let's see if we can jump in the car and hear if they're shutting it off. Trying to save just a little bit here, riding along with Chuck just behind Finnegan. Oh yeah, got that clutch all the way in for about half the turn. You can see they're trying it Finnegan having to save more. As I mentioned, he's 1 lap shorter on fuel than the 27. Smith is 11 seconds behind our leaders, so they can afford to save a good bit, assuming they can make it. As they're coming up on the lap car of McNeil. Just looks like Finnegan is having to save a little bit more. They're now 40 and 41 laps into their fuel run. Still running 32-second lap times. So they're saving, but they really aren't losing that much speed.
No, not at all.
So we are on lap 100, racing back to the stage win. Finnegan with a little more throttle this time around, trying to defend from the 27. Oh, and Finnegan gonna take stage 2.
Nathan Finnegan takes stage 2 with Charles Chuck Van Schaik taking that second position. And Shane, get ready, because Chuck Van Schaik, he's gonna come out guns a-blazing in that third and final stage.
Absolutely. Finnegan able to stretch it 43 laps on fuel. Put that back in your notebook for stage 3. Now that we know it can be done, somebody's going to try it if we get a caution around 40 laps to go. And with that, we'll let these drivers decide what they're going to do on pit road here between stage 2 and 3, and we'll be right back after this commercial break on Sim Racing Media. back with the Icon Cup Series at Kansas. We just wrapped up stage 2 as Nathan Finnegan took that one. Pace truck back on pit road. The drivers are ready to get back to racing here for the third and final stage of the Kansas 240. Finnegan out to a pretty comfortable lead here on lap 1 was Ryan Patty. Second in line, trying to chase him down. Chuck down low. Jacob Smith and Sean Purcell trying to join the party. Purcell up 26 positions from the start of the race as he tags the wall for a minute there. Iracing gets a little confused about it. Patty all over the bumper of the 6. And Smith goes into the wall chasing him. Jacob Smith, that is, in the 4. The gloves are off here in stage 3. Everybody throwing down right from the green flag. We've got Braxton DeWeese back on pit road again.
But we're 3 wide. 3 wide. Brian Smith with the 4 car, Jacob Smith and Ryan Petty 3 wide. Coming out of 4.
And I think the beginning of stage 2 taught some of these guys a lesson. As the further back in the pack they got 3 and 4 wide, they really lost contact with the lead group. And nobody willing to let that happen again. They are going to stay with your leader, Nathan Finnegan, as Brian Smith now giving a push to Ryan Patty before jumping all the way to the bottom.
Oh, no. We're under caution.
There it is. Looks like Evan Patinko involved. Take a look at what happened to him. Coming off of turn 2. Just gets loose and comes down across the nose of the 14. Oh. That'll do it. Let's go back and watch from Gladulich's cockpit. Whoa! Yeah, nowhere to go, no time to react on that one.
That's why they call him drift.
Finnegan still out front. Couple drivers playing their best poker face on hitting pit road. A little further back, Bentley Glazer, John Ross, and John McNeil, they are going to hit pit road to at least top off on fuel. With now 50 laps to go. I don't think anybody can make it 50 laps on fuel, so it's not time yet. Try and make that strategy play. As Kevin Gunther goes around, gets his wave around.
And look, if there's one guy that we learned last week that knows how to save fuel, it's Chuck and that number 27 car.
Absolutely.
He's no sloucher when it comes to saving fuel. We seen it last week. I think he did like what, a 50 lap run?
I mean, he made it happen.
I think he could do it. I mean, he could go back to back on a fuel strategy.
While we have a break here under caution, we also saw somebody might have had a crash there right when the stage 2 caution came out at the end of the stage. I think it was Brad Delph. We'll take a look back and see what happened to him. Again, this is right as that stage caution is coming out. Oh, he's maybe trying to get to pit road. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a penalty. That's got him back in the 31st position for that, what would assume would be an unsafe pit entry. So not a crash, no contact, but off the track a little bit. Back at the front, still Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, Jacob Smith, and Brian Smith are your top four. And then we got Michael Taylor, Cody Neal, Kyle Purcell, Chuck Van Schaik, Zach Lockett, and Sean Purcell make up your top 10. They come around turns 3 and 4 with the lights off on the pace truck. We're going to be going back green with 48 laps to go at the line. That green flag is in the air as the cars come through the Geico restart zone. And we're racing again at Kansas.
This is one of the more calmer starts that we've seen here. As Nathan Finnegan gets the whole shot, and he's got Brian Smith, Cody Neal, and Ryan Petty all in tow. Now you're going to start to see which line's going to work for these guys as we go later in the afternoon. Working our way to lap 160. We're almost there, but not quite.
Brian Smith getting up there to the inside of Finnegan. And he's going to take it away. But Finnegan battling back down low all the way to the grass as Smith looks like he was a little bit loose. They're still side by side. No one able to get around the other. Finnegan and Smith. As we mentioned, both of these drivers, they are 1 and 2 in points, both with 3 wins and 5 stage wins on the season as Brian Smith edges ahead of Nathan Finnegan and takes the lead. We've run 116 laps tonight, and over 100 of those laps have been led by your top 4, Smith, Finnegan, Jacob Smith, and Ryan Patty.
Oh, we're under caution. EVC crashed. Ethan Van Colley.
Let's take a look. Oh, contact with the 16 car. Gets them both in the wall and then sideways. Yeah, you gotta hope that'll buff out.
I think you will. You gotta put a.
That's all you can do at this point.
The crew chief comes on our end above.
He's a body shop guy. All right, we now have 44 laps remaining, which means that if you're feeling a little crazy, I think you could try to stretch it on fuel. Especially if you come in and top off right after this.
want to make mention while these guys are on pit road that May is a mental health month, Shane, and I tell you what, mental health month, men's mental health month, if anything, you know, even with children in the house, you know, us men, we battle our own problems and stuff. Not taking anything away from the great moms out there, but they're just wonderful. But if you're going through something, just reach out and talk to somebody. You know, just it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, and having a strong community like the one here at Icon or the one at Sim Racing Media can make all the difference.
It can, and I say that because here in December and around the holidays, I was battling depression bad. So,
Well, I am
but
sure glad to be sharing the booth with you tonight, Alan.
yeah, absolutely. And as Kenny Wallace says, it's PMA, positive mental attitude.
All right, looks like just about everybody hit pit road with the exception of John Ross, who is your leader.
Does he know something we don't?
I mean, he might just be looking to see how fast he can be with some clean air. Or could be looking for maybe a bonus point for leading the lap.
The other thing too, you could be banking that they have to bit one more time.
Yeah.
Maybe he's, as I say, maybe he's off pit strategy a little bit.
Well, he got that bonus point. One of the bonus points awarded here in the Icon Cup Series, leading one or more laps. And he's going to get one under caution and another as they come back to the line. We are going to go back racing with 41 laps to go at the line. John Ross leading them back to green. Getting a healthy jump, too.
Yeah, just 41 laps to go here. I mean, maybe John Ross feels like he can make it. He's pretty good at saving fuel. Down the back straightaway, these guys are inside, outside, 3 wide, 4 wide. Not quite 5 wide, but not even quite 4 wide. They're getting close.
Jacob Smith around the outside of Brian. A little further back. They are 3 wide. That's Finnegan and Patty battling for 5th place. Jeff Dillon down low.
If there's anything that I know about the adrenaline guys with Zach Lockett and John Ross and Nathan Brzezowski, they practice. When they practice, they do long runs and practice fuel mileage runs. That way they know how to save when it comes to situations like this. We got, 41 and counting laps to go. And don't count those guys out. John Ross will probably end up picking up more speed at the end.
Yeah, a couple of our drivers, Cody Neal and Bentley Glazer, they've been up front. Oh,
we
the
got
95 hits the wall off the nose of the 01. Everyone trying to avoid him.
We keep going.
A lot of drivers running their fastest lap of the race now in stage 3. With 38 to go.
John Ross
4 wide.
I told you they're going to go 4 wide here eventually.
Oh, no.
Oh, We're loving touching and squeezing around John McNeil.
That was incredible. I don't know how they kept it out of the wall.
I don't know how they kept it off each other. I don't know how that was total. Now that wasn't total calamity.
Yeah, I think 3 of those cars were sharing door panels for a while.
They were passing notes back and forth to each other. But here we are, lap 125 and 160.
I mentioned
Just
those 2
30.
drivers, Neil and Glazer. We'd seen them up front earlier, and they were kind of stuck back around 15th, but now on the move, up to 7th and 8th. And Jeff Dillon having a great run here, 17 positions gained from the start of the race. Rocking that Capitals 50 years paint scheme.
Look, I ain't got a dog in that race, but I tell you what, though, gotta give a shout out to my beloved St. Louis Blues. As well, myself and Dave Regal are gonna hate each other for the next, I don't know, 48 hours. As my beloved St. Louis Cardinals are gonna face his beloved Philadelphia Phillies. I don't know why.
Neil
Look,
now under Duncan. Up to 5th.
Here comes John Ross underneath Jacob Smith, mounting another comeback.
Yeah, he really hasn't fallen off that much. He's really just 8 laps older tires than these other guys. Holding tight in P3.
Trying to go the distance here on lap 128. Didn't come down pit road with the other drivers and make it wholesale pit stops, but nonetheless, here he is running a solid 3rd position, wanting to have a good run. We get this. I get to race with John Ross on Thursday nights, and I mean, he's dominating in the league that I'm in.
Yeah, coming back for P2 against Jacob Smith. Not going to just let it go. Meanwhile, Cody, Neal, and Bentley Glazer, I was talking about them a few laps ago. They are now up to 4th and 7th. We take a look through the tire strategy here. It looks like Brian Smith, your leader, is on 2 tires. John Ross on 4. Cody Neal on 4. Jacob Smith in the 4, he either took 2 tires or a splash of fuel. And back behind them, Ryan Patty and Bentley Glazer both on 4 tires. Jeff Dillon in the 52 on 2 tires. The only other driver up there on 2 tires is Jonathan Duncan. Oh, as we've got
we got a car around.
Sean Purcell. Heavy damage to the nose of that car.
And we should see the whole field come down pit road.
Absolutely. With just 30 laps to go, that puts everybody in the fuel window without really having to save. Let's take a look back at what just happened to Sean Purcell.
I will say this, Shane, while you're finding that replay. There's going to be no one on pit road that takes tires. Gas and go all day long.
I don't know. I mean, we've seen 4 tires be so dominant earlier in the race. If it's me, I want 4. I'd rather come up through the field like we just saw Neal and Bentley Glazer do.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Look, I'm tripping.
All right. And it looks like it's not going to give me that replay for free, so let's go find it ourselves. Oh, makes contact with the 95. Whoa, that's going to be a conversation after the race. Looked like he really didn't appreciate getting run into the wall, not giving him any space as they went into the entry of the next turn. like I said, that's gonna be a talking to. As we have 29 laps remaining, we are under our 7th caution of the night. And pit strategy is alive and well, as up front, Adam Ball and Kyle Purcell did not come down pit road. They are each 14 laps into this fuel run. But on tires alone, I feel like you're going to want to pit here. Unless maybe they're banking on a later caution and they're trying to save a set of tires or something like that. We've seen how quickly 4 fresh tires blow by other strategies. As we look a little further back, Jeff Dillon in the 3rd. He's on 2 tires. Jonathan Duncan in the 13. He's on 2 tires. Brian Smith on 4. Michael Taylor and Charles Woods each on 2. And then everybody else, starting with John Ross, all the way back to the field, they are on 4 tires. So a couple drivers throwing in the chips, trying to gamble on fuel and tires. With now 28 to go at the Kansas 240, the Icon Cup Series.
This is going to be, I think this is going to be the last pit stop.
I think I'll take that bet with the cautions we've been having recently. Again, your top 5 are Kyle Purcell, Adam Ball, Jonathan Duncan, Jeff Dillon, and Michael Taylor. Pace truck down pit road. 27 laps remaining in the Kansas 240, and we are green once again as Adam Ball leads them into turn 1.
Look at the whole shot that Adam Ball just got. And there, okay, this is why they took 4 fresh tires. Because now they're through back to...
Oh, contact as Neil goes sideways.
Does he keep it pointed in the right direction? And Siri says no.
Oof. Yeah, I don't think he made any contact, but that is going to cost him some spots as up front. Adam Ball still in the lead. The 52 of Jeff Dillon hot on his trail. And then Michael Taylor and Kyle Purcell under attack from Brian Smith. Again, Adam Ball did not pit on that last caution. So you've got to think his laps are numbered before somebody with fresher tires is able to get to him, but looking good out front right now.
Yes, Jeff Dillon's closing in on that number 19 car. Right now, though, Adam Ball is sitting in the top spot looking high, wide, and handsome.
And they're 3 wide again behind him.
Please stay green.
That 01 car is the other one that stayed out on old tires. You can see him kind of backing up to this group there, holding them up just ever so slightly. Jeff Dillon going for the lead. He's going to clear Adam Ball. Dillon on 2 tires.
I was going to say, it might be the first time in a while that the Capitals have won anything.
Shots fired. As Brian Smith up to P2, he is the first car on 4 tires. And they are coming in a hurry. Back behind them, Bentley Glazer's 3 wide on the bottom. They're going to sort it out for now. Dillon trying to find a way to keep dirty air on the front of that 78. Take away his line.
21 or 22 laps to go here. Jeff Dillon in that number 52 car. Brian Smith all over his back bumper. Looking a little bit deeper into the field. There's
Yeah, 3
Braxton's
and
at
4
least
wide.
running 15.
And stuck back in all of this traffic. Nathan Finnegan and Braxton Deweese. Trying to make the most of the stage 3 here. Dillon trying to use that high line to stay in front, but Brian Smith going to go low. Oh, he has to check up just a little bit on exit. That's going to give Dillon the lead once again. Dillon has led the last 5 laps since the restart. Well, not since the restart, but since he took the lead from Adam Ball. Love that shot down the backstretch as you see everybody come flying off of turn 3, trying to stay out, or turn 2, trying to stay out of the wall. Glazer now inside of Taylor and Ball. Ooh, Ball.
Whoa!
Tagging the wall, sparks flying. Again, I think this is a battle over clean and dirty air. As they get in the turn, you'll see the 78 tries to poke his nose out a foot or two to the left of that 52 car. Get just a little bit of downforce. And then Dillon dives down low to try to take that away. And that seems to be working so far as he's playing defense and driving in the mirror.
And that's what you have to do here. As Jeff Dillon, with 18 laps to go, continues to lead this thing.
I even gained a 10th on Smith that lap. The other thing that a 2-tire stop does for you, especially early in the run, is it really makes the car loosen up. So you can easily rotate it in the center of the corner as you see the 52 kind of dives down the lane in the middle of 3 and 4.
$16 laps to go here from Kansas as the sun has decided to poke behind the clouds.
Glazer and Ross battling for the 5th place position. A little further back behind them is Deweese, Taylor, and Van Schaik. That's for 8th. Good battles all the way through the field here as we have 15 laps to go. Ryan Patty,
I believe it's
getting under fire from Jacob Smith.
I still believe this is anybody's race right now.
Our 2 drivers who's there's the 8th caution. Sean Purcell involved.
I think you might get this one for free.
Yeah, let's take a look. Ooh, these 2 again. Didn't we just see them fighting on that last caution? I said there'd be a conversation, and that might be it. Go back and see if we can see what was going on a little bit before they got into the wall. Seems to be cordial enough right here.
Is it ever really cordial?
And then Widener kind of down a lane off the wall. I don't think Purcell was expecting that. And then once they start making contact, they go ahead and finish it.
Almost like the Mortal Kombat game.
I mean, I think the pit calls were easy until now. Oh, a little bit of games being played as Dylan comes down pit road, as does Ross, Brian Smith, and a whole load of other drivers with the fake out, staying out on track. Other drivers on pit road include Van Schaik, Duncan Ball, Eldred, Widener, Gladulich, Woods, and Neal. Your top 12 are going to be on old tires. About 17 lap older tires than those are pitted now. Now that's assuming everyone that came down pit road did have a set left over. I think they should. We had 5 additional tires here in the race tonight. Jeff Dillon and Jonathan Duncan going to be the first 2 cars off of pit road in the 13th and 14th position. It looks like they took 2 tires. Then John Ross and Charles Van Schaik will be the first 2 drivers that pitted there with 4. Up front will be Brian Smith, Ryan Patty, Jacob Smith, Bentley Glazer, and Zach Lockett, your top 5. Choosing to stay out there. I mean, Smith fooled me. I thought he was coming down. And then at the last second, swerving back out on the track. Lights are off on the pace truck already. It'll be 10 to go when we come back to the line.
I'm ready for a 10-lap shootout.
Ryan Patty on the outside. He does have 1 win this season, but it was all the way back in February at Daytona. He'd love to pick up some mid-season momentum with a victory here against Brian Smith and all these other drivers. Up front, truck is off. Brian Smith leads them back to green one more time. Getting a great push from the 4. Patty also gets a great start. And they touch the 4 and the 30.
No.
There's another one.
Kyle Purcell.
All right, let's take a look at that one. Let's see what happened. Everybody really tight together on this restart. Kyle is that 01 car on the outside. Ooh. A little bit of a self-clear was at first. I think it was the car in front that he made contact with, and then as he checked up for that, the car behind him, Adam Ball. That was the 32 of Cody Eldred. And Adam Ball kind of catching the worst of that one. As Purcell gets slowed up to back turned around. That's going to leave us with something a little bit closer to 7 or 8 laps to go when we get back to green. And if you're Brian Smith, Jacob Smith, Ryan Patty, these guys at the front that didn't pit that last time, you are loving this. You are just shaving off the laps that you have to defend those guys on fresh tires.
I imagine this is going to be one of those quickie cautions.
Yeah, the light's already off on the pace truck, it looks like to me. Oh, no, they're still
No,
on.
that's still on.
Once again, a happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I had a great day celebrating my wife, and then I'll get to see my mom on Wednesday for a little preschool graduation for my daughter. It'll be exciting to celebrate with all the moms in my life.
Preschool graduation, kindergarten to next.
Yeah, it only gets harder from here.
It only goes downhill. You blink once, then next thing you know, you're at high school graduation.
You've got a high school graduation coming up in your family, don't you?
Yes. May 21st.
All right.
Class of 2025. And he has made me feel old. I feel old, so does his mother, and well, you know, I graduated in the class of 2005, and almost 25 years later, and here he is.
Yeah, hey, me too, 05. Good year, good vintage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I asked him if he did a senior prank yet. He goes, no.
There's still time.
All I'm saying is our senior year, we had a great time with a couple lawnmowers, and we kind of did some free landscaping.
All right, that pace truck is off. We are going to ride along with Ryan Patty on that second row of that inside lane as they go back to green.
Whoa! Jacob Smith didn't take off, and Ryan Patty got right into the back of him. 6 laps to go. It's a 6-lap shootout. Here comes the rocket, Zach Lockett on the outside, getting some momentum, getting a good push from Bentley Glazer. Ryan Patty's gonna go to block.
Whew, they are bumper to bumper. Everybody's scraping the wall.
Oh, we're loving touching and squeezing now.
Deweese and Finnegan taking advantage of those couple cautions there to make up some track position. They're now in 5th and 6th. Joining the party.
5 laps to go. It's anybody's race. I feel like if you're at least in the top 5, you got a shot. How cool would it be to see Ryan Patty pull out a victory? He's got that one win at Daytona, but I feel like he may have found something. Zach Lockett going to the outside. He's gaining some speed.
And keep your eye on that 13 car, Jonathan Duncan. He's in 8th, looking for 7th, but he is the furthest up on 2 fresh tires on that last stop. You can see him just slicing through these other cars. Now up to 6th. Hunting down the leaders. But up front, Brian Smith leads. Oh, there's another caution. Kyle Gilbert. Nathan Brzezowski.
Oh, man.
In this one.
You know what that means?
We're going to take a look.
Green, white checker.
Oh, yeah, that too. As we jump back to check on Gilbert and Brzezowski. 3 wide with Woods on the inside. just I think this might be that situation I talked about earlier where you kind of expect the guy on your inside to go all the way down to the grass, and when you're 3 wide and somebody doesn't go all the way to the grass, you really run out of space quickly. That's Brzezowski, a little bit of net code there. The 77 and the 227 getting together. Oh, yeah, and then the 77 hard into the wall. Not able to escape that one. Car's going every which way to avoid these two. That's going to leave, as I mentioned, Duncan going to restart in 6th position with those fresh tires. If he can get a good restart, he can make the most of this one.
I think right now, in order for Ryan Patty to have a shot at this, he has to absolutely nail this restart.
And it's tough, too, because he's going to be lined up behind the 78. And if he nails the restart, he's also going to give the 78 a great push. As you mentioned, this will be a green-white checker. The first attempt. Icon Cup Series does do up to 3 if we need them. Now, at this point, I don't think anybody has any tires left. So, nobody's really... No. Other than Brzezowski and anyone else who picked up damage. All season long, we have seen 2-tire strategies win races, and as I said already, Jonathan Duncan in that 13 car lining up P6. He has 2 fresh tires over everyone in front of him. Let's see what he can do.
I can tell you right now, if Braxton DeWeese pulls this off in the 4th starting spot, there's going to be a party at Jane's on Main. Here we go. The Geico restart zone coming to get 2 laps to go. Brian Smith, Jacob Smith. We are back to green flag racing. 2 laps to go. Green, white, checkered, engage. Braxton, we found something.
On the wall. Found the wall, yeah. Oh, he's in it again. Duncan looking low under Ryan Patty.
White flag comes out. It doesn't matter that Michael Jennings says crashed.
Oh, it looked like Duncan tagged the apron. Got a little loose. Had to check up. That's going to let Patty back by. Ooh, those two making some contact as Patty tried to throw the block.
They're touching. Here we go, the green flag and checkered flag. It's going to be Brian Smith.
Oh, there's a spin behind him, too.
Duncan just muscles his way onto the podium, and we got big trouble. A lot of cars. That's going to be a lot to unpack.
Whew.
Oof is right.
All right, well let's start at the beginning. I think Michael Jennings crashed there. Ooh, 3 wide with the 74 and the 88. They got started on the restart. Three wide, and then I'm not sure. Everybody just going for the same real estate. Not sure there was any huge reason to do it there. And then as we go back to that race between Duncan and Patty. Yeah, the 13 hits the apron, gets a little loose. And then I think you're going to see Ryan Patty try to throw the block all the way to the bottom, and Duncan just not having it. Gonna muscle his way back around. Then back behind him, there it is, the 98 of Charles Woods. Off the nose of the 01, starts this one. And then cars are wrecking everywhere. Go check that one out from Neil's cockpit. I think he was in a good seat for it. Right there into the grass and then into the wall. Almost made it through. And that will do it. As Brian Smith is parked up on the start-finish line. Coming in first here in the Kansas 240. Let's have a chat with our podium. And as we wait for them to kind of join the waiting room here. Pretty phenomenal race, Alan. We saw patience early on, tire strategy, fuel strategy, winning stages. But in the end, it was raw speed and track position that paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not going to get any better racing than that.
Well, while we are waiting for our third place driver to join the waiting room. Oh, there he is. Let's get him in here.
Out of him.
You got Shane and Alan in the booth. How you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm doing good.
Yeah, we saw you there at the end. The first car on fresh tires, getting a couple restarts to gain some positions, and every time you were inching forward, almost to the lead there at the end, and then we saw you kind of have to throw your elbows out against Ryan in the 30 there on the closing laps. Tell us about it.
Yeah, toward the end of the race, I kind of had some crazy strategies going. I was taking lefts at one point, taking rights. It was kind of out of sorts. But yeah, thought we were in a pretty good spot. Me and my teammate, the 23, I believe. We were the first on new tires, and yeah, that caution, I guess, with like 7 or 8 to go, kind of ruined our chance to win. But yeah, definitely stoked with a third place.
Yeah, nothing to be ashamed of for sure. You know, what was kind of shaping up your choices for tires there at the end? I kind of had the feeling everybody had run out of tires almost there, but I know you had 2 waiting for you.
Yeah, just through practice and running some races this week, I felt like 2 tires was a pretty strong option, especially for as few laps as we had left. So I threw the right sides on there at the end, and just like you said, with so few laps left, you just want as much track position as you can have, because you just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, ended up working out pretty well, all considered.
Yeah, and congratulations again on the podium finish. You got anybody you want to shout out or give some thanks to?
Just my dad. He watches the races. So I appreciate him watching. But yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again on the good run at Kansas, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Next up for you, Alan, is Jacob Smith in the 4-car. You got a copy?
Got a copy.
Yeah, Jacob, what good run there. It looked like you were able to fend off Ryan Patty there, but just couldn't hold off. Well, you held off Jonathan Duncan, but couldn't seem to find the speed to get around Brian Smith. What more did you need out of the car to get around Brian?
I don't know. Brian and I were pretty equal, but would have needed some clean air on my nose. So we just tried to work together at the end there. We knew Jonathan and some other guys were on tires, and I think one more lap we would have been screwed. So Brian and I were just trying to work together. I told him I'd just stick behind him and not screw both of us, and it ended out really well. We got a first and second out of it.
Yeah, a good. It sounds like a good team win for you guys, but nonetheless, we get ready to move on to the next race here, and we would in the month of May we go to a lot of racetrack. What's your favorite racetrack in the month of May that we visit?
I don't know. I would say Kansas is definitely one of them. It's a blast. You get multi-lane racing. I don't know where we're going for the All-Star race yet, and then I know we've got Charlotte after that. So I'm a big fan of Kansas. Obviously, we've got a good result tonight, so couldn't be happier.
Yeah, before we get you out of here, is there anybody you'd like to think that helped get you here tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank MidwestEuroparts.com. They're supplying all the parts for the race car. I'd like to thank all the guys over at Buddy Motorsports who did a hell of a job tonight. So, Brian, great finish, good teamwork, and see everybody next week.
All right, Alan, let's get Brian in here for you to talk to.
And our race winner, Brian Smith. Brian, congratulations on putting that thing in victory lane. It looked like you had your work cut out, but you were in some good company with Jacob. Take us through that last couple of restarts and were you worried about Ryan Patty getting up there and getting by you?
Yeah, I did just about everything I could to throw this race away tonight. I super fast car and just messed up every strategy that I could have. Staying out that whole first stage was a huge mistake. And then I think that sent me back to 17th at the end of that first stage. And then people were saving fuel the second stage, and I didn't save fuel, and that messed me up there. Like, everything I could have done wrong tonight, I did. But at the end of the day, we prevailed out on top and got the win. But yeah, those last few restarts, that was just pure teamwork between the 4-car Jacob and I. Trying to decide what line we should do, and he executed everything perfectly. I was worried about the 30. I was worried about the 8 and anyone else that put tires on it. It was I think one more green white checkered and I would not have won this race. I know Jonathan in the 13 was coming on tires, and yeah, just nailed it at the end, but messed up everything before that.
Hey, sometimes that's the best way to win. But before we get you out of here tonight, to let you celebrate that win and get you some Johnsonville brats, who do you like to think who helped you get it done here on that number 78 car?
The whole team tonight was, we executed everything great, especially Jacob with those final restarts. Like I said, he did a phenomenal job. And everyone did a great job out on track. It was a lot of green flag racing. And thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. Thanks to Waylon for making this awesome paint scheme here. And yeah, it was a ton of fun. This is such a great track. Any mile and a half you can run multi-groove is a great track for the next gen. But once you get in that dirty air, like I was following the 52 car there, I was getting a little worried. But pit strategy got me to the front, and ultimately that's what won me the race. So yeah, just great job by everyone tonight.
Well, look, man, once again, congratulations. You deserve it. And I know you drove one smart race here tonight. So we'll see you at the next race, and congratulations on two wins this season. 2 wins this season.
Oh, I think that's 4 wins this season, if I'm not mistaken.
4 wins,
Yeah.
yes.
4, yeah, come on. So yeah, hopefully I got to match my total last year. I think I got 15. So we gotta get some more wins in that win column.
Better get busy, and I wouldn't change that paint scheme the rest of the year.
I know it's running good and it looks good. So yeah, I think we're gonna stick with it.
Drive that car to Johnsonville.
I'll do that. Thanks, guys.
Ryan Smith out of Northville, Michigan, picking up the win here tonight as we get ready to go over those finals results. Brian Smith's going to put it on the parking in victory lane. Jacob Smith's going to bring home PT, while Johnson Duncan rounds out your podium. Ryan Smith, Charles Van Schaik, and Braxton Deweese will finish 4th, 5th, and 6th, while the Rock is Zach Lockett, Nathan Finnegan, and Bentley Glazer will be 7th, 8th, and 9th. Jeff Dillon, John Ross, and John McNeil will all three finish 10th, 11th, and 12th. Charles Woods, Michael Taylor, Kyle Purcell, Cody Neal will finish 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, respectively, while the Drifter, Jacob Gladulich, and Kevin Gunther, Cody Eldred, and Charlie Widener will finish 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. 21st, will go to Mike Rennell, while EVC, Ethan Van Colley, will finish 22nd. Finishing 23rd will be Adam Ball, Anthony Taseo, Kyle Gilbert, Brad Delph, still all finished 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th. While Mr. Champion will finish 27th, Don Purcell will finish 28th, 29th to go to Hanover Fist. Chris Camburn will finish 30th, 31st to go to Nathan Brodowski. Michael Jennings will finish 32nd, 33rd will go to Evan Patinko. Patrick Colby will finish 34th, and winning the race of the beer stand tonight will be Kendall Levering.
Well, how about that one, Alan? Like I said, it had a little bit of everything and some door banging and there at the end, keeping it exciting, but Brian Smith able to just stay out front.
Yeah, what a fun race this was. I can't wait to get to the All-Star race. I know I'm going to have a blast when we get there. I cannot wait to see what track they come up with. And Shane, once again, to echo everything you said tonight, happy Mother's Day to everybody, to all the moms out there.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Sunday. We hope to see you next Sunday here with the Icon Cup Series on Sim Racing Media. We'll catch you then.